Hi, my name is Dylan Haar. I'm with Optical Zonu, and today we're going to talk about the Zonu Connect BTS to DAS transport system. This is a common configuration you would run into in an Optical Zonu BTS to DAS transport. Here on the bottom we can see the base station side. We have two fibers running to a remote DAS head-end side. This is an 8-sector system that's comprised of two common systems used for, here on the bottom we can see Verizon, and this would be a typical AT&T configuration. You might notice that the Verizon configuration prefers 4310 coax connectors, while AT&T is using QMA quick connectors. These are 5-band systems. On the bottom we have 700, 850, PCS, AWS, and C-band. And here for AT&T we have 700 megahertz, 850, PCS, AWS, and WCS. So on the other side we would have the DAS head-end interface. This system is all going to be simplex interface on line cards that are hot swappable. Everything on the DAS side is going to be simplex SMA connectors for interface with the DAS head-end. One of the most common issues I see with Zonu Connect systems is the rack not being planned well. So you always want to keep in mind where your cabling is going to go on both the DAS side and the BTS side. So planning ahead of time is going to save you a lot of headache. So if you know you have a bunch of base stations that are going to be on the other side of the room and you're going to have to run long coax, you want to avoid that if possible. So always pre-plan and make sure you know what needs to be connected to what first. On the DAS side, it's also important to make sure that the DAS interface trays are going to be close to the DAS head-end interface. So here you have simplex SMA interfaces on the DAS interface trays. Whether you're interfacing with a JMA DAS, a solid DAS, a Corning system, you want to make sure that you don't have to run to the other side of the room to interface from the Optical Zonu system to the DAS system. So one common way to do that would be to stagger Optical Zonu rack, DAS head-end rack, Optical Zonu rack, DAS head-end rack. If we plan ahead of time, you can also interface the DAS head-end equipment in between the Optical Zonu equipment to make sure that you don't have long cable runs. I've seen installations that weren't planned well, where cables had to be run all the way to the other side of the room, and it just adds cost to the system unnecessarily. And if the system is planned correctly, you can avoid that altogether. You also want to plan ahead of time what type of power you're going to use to power a Zonu Connect system. All of our equipment is available in either negative 48 volt battery backup system or AC power that supports world standards. So it doesn't matter what your AC power looks like. We support 50 to 60 hertz, 90 volts to 260 volt AC power. So this AC system will work anywhere in the world. The negative 48 volt system, you want to make sure that your power distribution is planned accordingly. Everything is on terminal block connectors, so you want to make sure you have power runs. And obviously everything needs to have grounding lugs on the back panel. So here we can see what that looks like. So common installation errors that I see a lot here in these pictures, you can see the DB9 connector on the back. You want to make sure that the center DB9 connector is plugged into the center chassis. Each Optical Zonu transport chassis will have two interface trays associated with it. So the center connector goes to the center DB9 connector, and then you have the top interface tray and the bottom interface tray. So you don't want to overlap or have any kind of weird interfaces there. You also want to make sure that the coax connectors that interface between the optical transport chassis and the interface trays follow the silk screen that you can see here in the pictures. Once you get all your equipment racked and cabled and powered on, the next step is establishing management connectivity. This is going to be done via standard IP Ethernet interface. All of your units should be programmed on a default IP address of 192.168.0.100 for the POI side and 192.168.0.200 for the DAS side. It doesn't matter which side you interface on because both of them are connected via a gigabit Ethernet link over the fiber. So the most common issue I see when people try to start connecting to this equipment is this is an SSL secured web server. So when you go ahead and you put that IP address into the address bar of your web browser, you need to make sure to type https:// and then the IP address. That S is important, and I see problems with it all the time. So here we're going to go to our address bar. We're going to type in our URL, make sure that the HTTPS is in there, and this is going to bring up our standard web server interface. Now the whole thing we're trying to do here is to get to the control GUI, because the control GUI is going to have all the management options for setting up our rack elevations, for running the discovery process, for setting attenuator levels, for managing the entire system graphically. So we're going to go over here to the device tab. and we're going to click on the J-Control GUI link that we see right here. This is going to be your standard login, admin, like most equipment. And now we can see the entire system from one location. We can see both the POI side, we can see the DAS side, and we can go ahead and control and manage each one of these chassis. Now that your equipment is racked and cabled and powered on, and we've established management connectivity to the equipment, documentation should be able to be used to assist you further. Any issues that you might run into, feel free to reach out to us 24 hours a day, and we can walk you through those issues. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video on the Zonu Connect BTS to DAS transport system. Thank you and have a nice day.